welcome back to the Rolex 24 Hours, where there have been a lot of problems for a lot of teams, a lot of tire problems, but tires have not been the only problem that have been made out of rubber for a lot of these competitors. Here at the number 77 pit, another car that has succumbed to a rock thrown up in the engine compartment. It gets between the pulleys and the belt for the water pump. The belt breaks. We've got overheating. This is about the fourth car that's happened to. Debris, it can be a major issue for these guys, and when it gets into the engine compartment, it eats alternators, it eats water pump belts, and it creates serious engine problems.
How costly has that one incident been, Jack Baldwin, whereby we saw the Yukos RWS Porsche go off? This car went off. Hurley Haywood took evasive action. It's cost this team, it's cost that team, just one simple incident.
One simple incident, and a while ago we were watching when one of the cars went across the curbing, okay, missed the apex, went across the curbing. And you see that chunk of asphalt that they picked up? That's the kind of thing that happens. When you drive off the road, you bring all the debris on the road, and then when you run over it, you throw it up all over the place, and it gets in it gets where it's not supposed to go. And that's the problem. You know, a guy told me a long time ago, there's green stuff and black stuff. You got to stay on the black stuff.
One of the Roll Center Moslers has turned around. That's the fourth car in GTS. We hear a report that it's been turned around. David Shepp is driving that one. This is the car, well, both Roll Center Moslers owned by Martin Short. This is the biggest effort he has had in sports car racing, running two cars here. The 09 car is off.
At the same place, at the dogleg. Now, right now, the sun is really, really low in the sky at the dogleg. And I would imagine that right there, at this point of the day, right now, it's got a blind spot.
Paul Mears Jr. brings it back onto the black stuff.
You miss your apex in there, it's real easy to get off. And just by the fact that everybody's gone off, it's a little slip down there.
We hear that perhaps David Donahue could have been involved in that incident, as the 09 gets back up to speed and the Dark Dog Saline S7R flashes on by. I can update you on the situation inside the top 10. It was widely anticipated that the GT cars would be extremely strong here this year. At the moment, we're getting close to the 5-hour mark in the Rolex 24. 6 of the top 10 positions are occupied by GT category cars. The Daytona prototype car leads the way. That is the Red Bull. Brumos, David Donahue at the wheel as he works his way through the field, coming up on one of the SRP2 cars.
You know, and right now with a comfortable lead at this point, leading the race, this is a good spot to be in going into the evening. It's up to everyone else to catch him. And this is a good place. You can back off a little bit. You can get a more comfortable pace going. It's up to everybody else to speed up to catch you. And it's a great position to be in. It makes the crew a little nervous because you figure that everybody's wondering what's going to happen to me.
From one Brumos to another, we ride with Hurley Haywood, a legend when you talk about sports car racing, particularly here at Daytona. A record 5 victories for Hurley. He would dearly love to make it 6. He's going to compete the full season in the Rolex Sports Car Series this year for Grand American. And he is excited about that. The 09 car is in. Paul Mears Jr. has brought the 09 one in. Jim Briotti in. You know Jim very well.
Oh, yes. I know him very well. And this team does a great job. They've done well in endurance races in the past. It's a good, solid team. These guys can be effective in this last.
Thanks for joining us on Speed, folks. You're watching live pictures from Daytona Beach as the 09 team hard at work.
More damage of going off over the dog leg. They're trying to get this straightened out. And then the other problem is what got in there. What's in there between there and the radiator. So they need to deal with that.
Chris Neville, how do things look down there?
Well, I think you guys can get a pretty good idea of the damage on the front of that nose. It looks like quite a bit of the splitters broken off on the right side. Paul Mears was in the car, and it sounded like he possibly got into the side of a prototype, and maybe that was David Donahue. Don't quite know. These guys aren't quite sure. They just said Paul just tried to stay out of too much trouble, drove it off the road, broke broke up the front of that car a little bit, so it doesn't look like they're going to have very good downforce on the front, and that might hurt him in the dog leg. Jim Briotti got back in that car, and he's going to take it out for the next stint.
The 15 car has stopped on course, and that's tough. That's one of the Team Seattle Essex racing cars that's back going again now. This is Peter McLeod behind the wheel. Third in this category, the only open-top cars in this race.
And there he is coming back up on the speedway. It seems like the car's okay.
Sure, sounds all right, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sounds fine. He probably spun out.
And you can see now the lights starting to take some effect here on this 3.5-mile circuit.
Right now, the sun is down below the speedway, and I'll tell you, it's a lot easier right now. It's the lights, you know, you're in that dull zone. You can't see really good, especially if your windshield's dirty, but it's better than having the sun in your eyes.
Donahue continues to lead the way. The first SRP2 car is the 21 machine in 13th overall. That is the Archangel Nissan Lola. Still soldiering on, taking the fight up. In fact, the 97 car is now leading the SRP2. We'll have more on the other side of this. Speed Channel's coverage of the Rolex 24 at Daytona is brought to you by Hooters. Delightfully tacky, yet unrefined. Daytona International Speedway right alongside the Daytona Beach Airport. And look at that, a beautiful scene here at one of the world's most renowned racetracks. Brian Till, what do you have for us?
Well, you know, you get out of these cars and you're hot and sweaty and you get to go put on a fresh driving suit in another 3 or 4 hours when you come back for your stint. But what about your helmet? You know, it's 50 degrees outside. It's all wet and sweaty, but the Risi Competizione team has come up with this unique helmet dryer. Their team puts their helmets on these pipes that pump cool air inside of it. The helmet gets nice and dry so that when you come back for that next stint, you got a dry helmet to put on, and that makes it a lot more comfortable. The other thing that they've got over here, guys, I'm spending a lot of time, they got masseuses, and, you know, as hard as I've been working, I could use a little massage.
Trust you to find that, Till. Trust you to find that.
Yeah. Did you want to ask me some questions, Lee? Because the longer we talk, the better this massage is going to feel.
Hey, her name is Allison, and she's Dyson's masseuse, and she is the best in the world.
I can't say that I disagree with you, Jack. It's feeling pretty good.
Every time I got out of the car, I had to look over and watch James Weaver in the midst of all this, getting a nice massage while I'm laying there on the ground,
you know,
suffering.
I complained about it being a little warm early in the day and you guys sitting up in the air conditioning. I'm not complaining anymore.
What's it like down there, Brian, besides your massage? Temperature dropped a bit with the sun going down?
Well, oh, she got to a tight spot there. Yeah, yeah, I was just talking to the team here. They said the laps have gone down by a couple of seconds as the temperature has gone down. The sun's gone down, the track has cooled off, it's gotten much better. And I know that I got to go ahead and finish this massage, so why don't we get to Chris Neville?
Well, Brian, you're right. The track temperature has gone down. Goodyear handed me some temperature reports just a little while ago. I want to know why I'm having to do the weather and you're getting a massage, though. But the Goodyear techs came by. They said track temp earlier in the day was up around 90. Right now, it's already dipping into the high 60s. Also, ambient has dropped down about 8 degrees. So the sun is down. The track is cooling off. The cars are going to start going quicker.
Sure about Brian Till deserving a massage, but I think the camera crew and the entire crew for Speed Channel, they might deserve a massage. They're doing a great job. It's a long haul, 16 hours live here on Speed. We're with you folks right through until 9 p.m. Eastern tonight, so that's another 3 hours through here. And Bob Barsha, David Hobbs, Guy Hobbs and Calvin Fish will be back in about an hour, and then we're back live from 6 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. We'll see you right through until checkered flag at 1 p.m. and then we're doing a half hour after the race. So we'll go from 6 Eastern in the morning right through till 1:30 in the afternoon Eastern time. Hope you can be with us for the legendary Rolex 24 at Daytona. You're looking at the race leading car, David Donahue, and the 58 Brumos Red Bull Porsche. Be a few of the mechanics and teams drinking some of that product tonight, I'm sure, to keep their eyes and awake and open, keep themselves alert. It's a tough old slog.
They've done a fantastic job all day long. They're playing this thing just right. They're playing it to win. And I'll tell you, right now they got a 2-lap lead. Basically, they put the pressure on the competition. The competition needs to catch them.
Yeah, well,
it's a good spot to be in going into the evening, I'm telling you. It's a great spot. They just, but you know what? It's a long race, and something bad happens to everybody. So their bad luck hasn't happened yet.
We take a look at the 46 Corvette, and this is the Morgan Dollar car as he winds around. Lee Diffie with Jack Baldwin, Brian Till and Chris Neville down in the pits doing a great job here this afternoon. The Morgan Dollar Motorsport car charging around. They had their fair share of problems early on, but great to see them still in the race, Jack.
Yes, and Axiom has been a part of this series for a long time with Charles Morgan, and today they announced a sponsorship program for I think a qualifying award or something. They're going to be part of the series for the GT division. Yeah. And you know, today they've got Lance Morris in the car, a NASCAR driver, and Scott Lagacy, who's a good friend of mine, and glad to have him back behind the wheel. Glad, I know he's happy to be there. And, you know, I know Rob and Charles love driving together. That's the father-son team, and they're great guys, absolutely great guys. And that is a beautiful Corvette. It's a brand-new Corvette. That car is designed by Charles Morgan and built in their shops by their team. So Charles takes great pride in that. It's something he's doing now as sort of a hobby, is designing and building his own race cars. He kind of likes it. And I'll tell you, it's a beautiful car.
And in today's economic climate, it's great to see any new sponsor come on board. There's so many sports out there competing for the corporate dollar, so great to welcome Axiom on board.
And the other thing is Rob Morgan owns the truck team, the NASCAR Craftsman truck team that runs the series. So,
well, let's go downstairs. Once again, here's Chris Neville with Rob Morgan.
I'm here with Rob, the son of Charles. Rob, you guys are doing pretty good. Now, earlier in the day, though, you had some problems. You got into one of the prototypes.
Yeah, we had a little bit of bad luck. Dad said one of the Daytona prototypes kind of dove inside of him, one of the horseshoes. I didn't see it, so I don't really know the real story yet. But, yeah, we've had some bad luck with some tires, and I think some other people have. It put us behind. Car's running good now. Transmission's getting a little sticky, but feels fine mechanically inside, so we'll see what happens.
Well, earlier on, they did do some damage. They broke an upper control arm when they did make that contact. The car was in for quite a while, but this team is definitely a solid team in Grand Am. They had a few wins last year. They're looking to try and come back here in the late hours.
And another solid team is this one we're riding with right now. Look at the speed difference. The Ferrari is brutally fast through, though, on the infield under brakes. That's Johnny Molam in the 35 Risi Competizione Ferrari 360 GT. Look at it under brakes. Jörg Bergmeister we're riding with at the moment in the 66 Racers Group Porsche, one of the German superstars. He and Timo Bernhard are reigning champions here at the Rolex 24 in this class, and they are running second outright at the moment. This event is cruel to brakes. Just look at that. Steaming down in the pits while everyone continues to chase Donahue. Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway for the Rolex 24. Action continues, and there has been another casualty in the SRP2 class. Chris Neville, what do you have?
Well, that's the number 80 Picchio SRP2 car. This is another G&W Motorsports car. Had a lot of success last year. This year they're trying the new DP class and also trying to get this SRP2 car running. They've had a horrible time today. Looks like a cracked bell housing with this car. They're going to take it back to the garage, try and fix it. They aren't quite sure. Also an update on the Daytona prototype car, the Picchio number 8. They're still out on the track. It seems like things are working a little bit better. It's really turning into a test session now. They're starting to work out some of the bugs they had earlier in the day. They've actually been out for quite a long stint now.
For BMW and Picchio, it's been a tough old day at Daytona. We have just crossed the 5-hour mark, just gone 6:05 local time here in Florida. Here's some of the highlights from hour 5, and it was very costly for Hurley Haywood, who at that stage was the race leader, taking evasive action through the midfield section. Just listen to that. The front end of the car picking up an enormous amount of soil and gravel and There were problems with the under tray. The team had to go hard to work, and just look at how difficult the working conditions are there. It was also costly for the car, we think, that went off first, which was the 77 RWS Yukos Porsche, who was at that stage challenging for Andy Wallace and his Mosler for the top rights in GTS. They broke a water pump belt. Meanwhile, we get back up front. Just a reminder to you, if you'd like to send us some emails, we're here with Jack Baldwin. Jack has done so many of these Rolex 24 hours. He's in the booth for just under another hour today. Jack will be back with us tomorrow. If you'd like to email Jack a question, go on to our website, www.speedtv.com, and follow the cues to the email section. You can send them in. We've had a lot of emails asking about teams, Jack Baldwin, and you might be able to answer this for us. Where are the teams we're used to seeing, like Team Dyson, Robinson Racing, who you drove for a long time? Where are these guys?
Well, that's a good question, and we'd like to have them back here. Rob Dyson decided after the rule change to go in a different direction. He chose to go run in a different car in a different class. In the case of George Robinson,
whoa, look at this. This is the Schumacher champion Porsche.
Man.
And this has had so much trouble today. It's got a star-studded lineup in it. Sasha Mass and Lucas Luer, two Porsche factory drivers, two hotshots. And they have had increasing tyre problems. This is Larry Schumacher at the wheel now.
It looks like he's got two blown rear tires right here. It looks to me right here that tire is blown out.
Is the other one? The other one too.
Look at this one right here, okay? I think both of them are gone. Maybe it's hard to see. Maybe we can get a better look here.
His windscreen's gone as well. The windscreen's completely out of the car.
I tell you what, that thing got backwards at a very high rate of speed, and that's probably what blew that windshield out. See, there's no windshield right here, okay? When the car gets turned around backwards, the air comes in through the windows this way, blows the air out. I mean, blows the windshield right out of the car.
Let's take a look at the replay. Watch the upper right of your screen. This can help with the story. We're looking at the number 98 Porsche. It's gone.
There it is. As the car turned around backwards, the windshield came out of the car right there. Didn't hit anything, really, other than the windshield. I mean, little problem right there. But once again, there's the problem. Right rear tire. Right rear. That was very scary for the driver in that car. That all of a sudden that happens. You're running down the back straightaway, you're running wide open, and boom.
Well, if our assumption is correct that it was yet another rear right, for this car, that makes the count at 3 now.
Yes, and they have been dodging bullets with this all day. I mean, this was the closest one. I mean, this is when you're running really fast. I mean, if this happens on the banking,
Okay, let's take a look at this in real time. Again, watch to the top right of your screen. Watch how aggressively it snaps around.
Watch it. Right top right of your screen. Watch. Right there. Boom. It just came under there. Car went spinning. Driver could do nothing at that point. Put the brakes on, sit there, wait for the car to stop. That's all you can do. I'm going to tell you, if that happens on the banking, that car's going to go to the wall.
Here's Larry Schumacher, team principal here. They're teamed with champion Porsche. One of the world's, if not the world's largest Porsche dealership.
And right now he's bringing it back to the garage. He needs to get it back to the guys. You know, he's told them what's happening.
Well, we have got a full course caution. Excuse me, Jack. We've got a full course caution, and this is the third one within just over 5 hours.
And we've got a full course caution, not because of the car on the track, because of the debris that he left behind. They don't want any more problems and more flat tires because of the debris. So they need to go out there, look at the place, clean the place up, and get this field back under control. It's a tough situation. These guys are lucky.
Frustrating situation for Larry Schumacher. He has just exited NASCAR Turn 4. He's coming up towards the tri-oval. He is almost back to the beginning of pit lane. Our third full course caution here at the Rolex 24. Stay with us. It's getting interesting. We're approaching darkness. Thanks for watching us live on Speed. The Rolex 24 continues, and it's not continuing so well for the Multimatic team. David Brabham, Scott Maxwell, and David Empringham. It looks like a minor fire, Jack Baldwin. Problems for those guys?
Well, I don't think it's a fire. I think it's just overheating. It's a problem. It's the same problem. It's hampering a lot of these guys. It's time, especially with the prototypes. It's just time to get these cars ready. Right now, you know, I mean, the time to run, to sort these cars out, to get them squared away. It just takes time. So.
Well, the team putting the engine cover back on. We are under our third full course caution, and we'd like to take this opportunity to join the Director of Competition for the Rolex 24 at Daytona, Mark Raffoff. Mark, hi, it's Lee Diffie here in the speed booth. Thanks for joining us. How do you see things so far?
Pretty good little thrash we got going, I think. Guys are making some stops occasionally, losing 10 spots, and half an hour later they're back in the top 5. So I think we've got a pretty good little race going on right now.
The Brumos Daytona prototypes are going very well.
Absolutely. Bunch of guys actually going pretty well. The 3 car, the Toyota car, has kind of been up and down the order there in the top 15 for a while, but I think we're regularly keeping a bunch of cars within 2 or 3 laps of each other at this point, which is pretty exciting.
Well, I think what's happening here, Mark, is exactly what you guys hoped would happen, is that the race is actually becoming a closer, tighter, more competitive race.
Absolutely. Making mistakes, it's execution now, and guys are, the smart guys are doing a good job being pretty consistent and steady, and some of those GT teams that are up there at the front are really good quality organizations, and they're in the hunt. That's what it's all about.
Mark, as well as being the Director of Competition, you're also the race director. Are you happy with the way the teams and drivers are behaving themselves out there, their conduct, etc.?
Absolutely. From what I've seen, I can't see everything all the time, but most of the incidents we've had have been, problems with one guy and maybe some other guys avoiding him. I haven't seen some of the huge speed problems we had in the past with other cars. I think everybody's doing a really good job.
Mark, I know you're incredibly busy. Thank you very much for your time. Thanks for joining us on Speed, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Anytime. Glad to have you here. Glad you're here.
Thanks, Mark.
So we're winding down towards the end of this caution period. We hope to go green very soon, hopefully on the other side of this break. Lights taking full effect at Daytona International Speedway for the Rolex 24 for 2003. There's been a fair amount happening in this past half an hour or so. One of those issues involved the Multimatic Ford. Chris Neville, tell us more.
Well, Scott Maxwell just jumped in to relieve David Brabham in the number 88 Ford. You guys had some problems early on with the throttle return spring. You just came in. Looked like there was a small fire in the back of the car.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the small fire was, but they put it out, and they sent him back out, but they noticed one of the clips was not right when he went out. So that's I think that's what they're doing. And while we're under yellow, we're just having another check by the looks of it.
Yeah, they just brought the car back in. It looked like the rear wing possibly unclipped. They're trying to fix that. And they're also, like you said, going to look around.
David Brabham, you can tell just how hot it is. He's extremely fit, and he has just come from his stint working hard. Scott Maxwell back in that car now, and that's one of the new Daytona prototypes. As we take a look at this round of pit stops, the Brumos Porsche are in. This is the race-leading Porsche. And no, this is the 59 car now, and they've got problems down there. I just heard Hurley Haywood say something is jammed.
Well,
hang on. Shove it over here. Okay. I'm good. Go ahead. This is still turn it. Push harder.
Jack, what do you take from this? What do you think is jammed? I mean, it's hard to tell.
It's hard to tell. I can't see. It could be...
The fucking buckle is so full of dirt.
The buckle is so full of dirt. This is all from the dirt and all the debris that came up in the car. When that stuff like that happens, it always comes back to haunt you. So, but look, they're under caution. Listen, they're under caution right now. So it's cool. They just need to beat the safety car. They need to beat the pace car. So right now they've got plenty of time. They need to be cool, get the car out. Right now the pace car is a NASCAR 2.
What the problem was, Jack, is that was the driver transition from Hurley Haywood to Scott Goodyear. That's what the problem was.
Right, and you get anxious, but remember, he's got time to get out. He'll get out, and he'll catch the end of the field. He's going to have to go like heck to do it, though.
Okay.
They're going green. Are they going green now? No, or probably one more. He's probably good to go.
There's the field over on the back straight, and Scott Goodyear exits pit lane. Meanwhile, let's get down to the pits and hear from one of the German superstars, Jörg Bergmeister.
Well, Kevin Buckler just got in the number 66 car, and the gunslinger, Jörg Bergmeister, you got out. How is the car at this point in time?
It's really good. We have actually no problem with the car, and it's working really fine. The setup is really good. We have, I think, less oversteering than the other cars, so I'm looking really forward to the rest of the race.
Well, we saw a lot of the Porsches have problems with tires early in the heat of the day, but as the night cools off, is that better for everyone and especially better for you guys?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe some of the guys put a little bit too much camber in the right rear, so they overstress the tires. I think it's better now.
Well, he thinks it's better. That could be trouble for everybody else. Chris, you got trouble down there.
Well, Hurley, it looks like you just got done running the Baja 1000 rather than 24 hours of Daytona.
Oh, man, I had to go off the road in the kink, which is, I mean, I'm flat out there, and to avoid a 911 or a Corvette that was spinning, and, it's bumpy out there, and the front spoiler just dug in, and it was like a plow and just threw a bunch of dirt in the car, so they had to put up with that for the whole spin of that stuff blowing around the cockpit, so it was pretty unpleasant, but the car's all right. We'll just chip away at the lead again and try to get ourselves back up again.
Well, in that driver transition, we did hear that Scott Goodyear was having some trouble with the belt, and that's just because there's so much dirt in the car. They can actually tell by what it's doing on the telemetry back in pit lane.
We are back on the green at Daytona International Speedway after our third caution period. Let's get back to it, down into turn 1, and you can see that the lights are in full effect now.
Nice clean restart, and you notice on the restart, nobody has to wait for anything. The flag drops.
Whoa! That was one of the that's one of the SRP2 cars, and
there's your leader.
7 car, the Racers Group car, just
there's your leader right there. He drove around. He made it.
Wow.
Boy, that was a tough break, and I don't think anybody. I think he's okay. You can see him moving right there.
Now, that was the 21 SRP2 car with Larry Alberto behind the wheel, and it was the 68 car, and I think it was Tom Hessett III, the 16-year-old driver, who slammed into him. We were under another full course caution. Understandably, that was right after the restart, and that Racers Group Porsche had nowhere to go. Let's take a look at the replay. Jack Baldwin, talk us through, and we can confirm that it wasn't Tom Hessett in that 38 car, but let's look at this. Watch the SRP2 car as it spins and it faces the oncoming traffic.
It's just sitting there, and as the Porsche pulls out, there's the car.
67 car.
Believe me, that happened so quickly that he wasn't looking for a car to be sitting there.
This is on board the Deerhaag Corvette. Watch up ahead, and it's the 67 Racers Group Porsche with Andrew Davis that slams straight into that little prototype. Bang, that's where the contact happened.
He was far enough back, it was easy for him. But wrong place at the wrong time. Now watch this. Here comes the Porsche. Believe me, the guy in the 2 car, and he's lucky the Porsche didn't sit right up on top. I'll tell you, that's why they added those 4 bars on those open cockpit cars.
Real-time replay, watch it again. Center of your screen, the Archangel prototype went around by itself, and the Racers Group Porsche slammed head-on.
Everybody's out. Oh, he's dejected. He spun the car. He was in it when it spun. He might have had help, I don't know, but that's a terrible feeling.
Chris Neville, tell us more about this situation.
Well, the guys in the 21 pit are definitely disappointed. It doesn't look like they're going to be able to even get that car back here. Larry Alberto did do some damage to the car. Checked in with Mike Johnson, the team owner and the team manager. He's pretty disappointed right now. They're pretty happy with the way things are going, but it looks like a pretty healthy hit. He said that kind of car just can't take that kind of hit.
No, and a hit like that, it'll wrinkle a car like that. And, the Porsche, if you saw it, it went up in the air, did a big wheel stand right in front of the SRP2 car. And if we go back there for a minute, we'll see, look at the damage of that Porsche.
Ouch.
There, that was a big hit. That was a big hit.
That is last year's Le Mans winning GT Porsche. And that is a
nice car.
A beautiful car and a disappointing sight. Especially for team owner Kevin Buckler.
Well, on the restart, that's what you always dread, the turn 1 incident. And if there is one, can you avoid it?
That's one thing we've been very fortunate with so far today in the Rolex 24. There hasn't exactly been an abundance of those kind of incidents. They've mainly been isolated incidents. drivers running themselves off the track or spinning. Brian Till, have you got something for us?
Well, Tommy Sadler, the crew chief for the 67 car. First of all, Andrew Davis driving the car. He radioed in. He's fine.
He's fine. Yep. Just a hard hit.
Absolutely. And as hard as it is, they said the car was still on course. I've got to believe he can't drive that thing.
No, I think we have some broken radiators, so we told him to pull off. The engine's getting a little warm, so.
And there is the Archangel.
Obviously in communication with him right now.
Copy.
And you can see that
the car is driving fine, so it's probably okay suspension-wise, but we've got to fix these radiators. We can get them back out.
Well, that is absolutely amazing that after a hit like that, not only is the driver fine, but if they come in and change the radiators, you may see this car yet tomorrow afternoon at 1 p.m. still driving around, guys.
Replay of the incident, and this is the 58 car. Just
nice and easy. Just, I'm leading this race, and I don't want to have any problem. Nice and slow, work yourself around, go on. It's not, you know there's going to be a caution, so you don't have to get in a hurry in a situation like that. Just miss the incident.
Again, it was Larry Alberto, the driver of the SRP2 car, and I imagine Larry's just getting a checkup at the moment, but he appeared to be okay. He got from the car. A tough break for both those cars, both those teams. Will continue after this. Channel's coverage of the Rolex 24 at Daytona is brought to you by Rolex, the watch of champions the world over. This is the 67 car, the car that the young Georgian Andrew Davis was driving that leaped up onto the front of the Archangel Nissan Lola. Larry Alberto was driving that. From what we understand, both drivers are okay. You can see Andrew Davis just climbing from the Racers Group Porsche then. And here is the replay. Center of screen, Andrew Davis climbs on the front of that little prototype. And Larry Alberto was just waiting, and what a terrible situation to be in. Jack just waiting and watching it and saying, no, no, no.
And he feels terrible, I'll tell you. The cold tires, I don't know if he was having, I don't know how it happened, but the car got backwards, and he's basically a sitting duck in turn one.
Well, we welcome into the Speed Channel booth the president of Grand American Road Racing, Roger Edmondson. Good evening, Roger, and thank you for joining us. One of the new rule changes, one of the things that Grand American implemented this year was a strengthening structure within the SRP2 class to avoid dangerous situations. I'm sure you're pleased to see that, well, something major didn't happen there.
Actually, the best image I've seen so far was Larry getting out of that car and looking pretty disgusted, but looking pretty healthy.
Yeah.
But you know, Roger, one of the rules changes that you guys implemented last year was the 4 bars coming off the roll hoop in the open cockpit cars, and that was addressed in the big cars that are no longer here, but now also the little cars that are still here. In a situation like that, it's a perfect example of doing that, because if that Porsche had gone and done the wheel stand and laid down on top of that car, those 4 bars would have saved that driver and protected and kept the car off the driver.
That's correct. We couldn't tell in the first time we saw it on the TV screen down on the
What we're talking about is these bars, right?
Exactly.
Right in there. These bars right there.
Yeah, actually we had those added to give the roll bar extra strength in the event of a turnover, but it certainly was a piece that could help.
See this bar right here? It's that bar right there. It's that bar right there. They come up on each side. They come up over the hoop. Those are the bars. Those are the bars that were added.
Roger, just moving away for a moment from the SRP2 class to the Daytona prototypes. We've got an interesting race on our hands here. 3 of the top 6 cars are Daytona prototypes. The third one in class is the Toyota, the Segway Sport car. Your opinion of the race so far, and especially the new class?
Well, I'm very pleased with the performance we've seen from these new cars. They are right at the beginning of their development, so we've got a lot of work to do on them as we go down through this season and the years to come. But very, very happy with the competitiveness of the race, and we've still got a long way to go. So it's anybody's game right now, and that's what it's supposed to be.
I think these cars have debuted very, very well, and are showing that you know, by making more making the classes more even, and making it more competitive, making it a better race for the fans all the way around. I think it looks good to me.
Well, there's no question we've compressed the speeds between the fastest cars and the slowest classes. The interesting thing is that the GT cars, many of them have exactly the same engines, that we've approved now for use in the prototypes. They're both production-based engines, and it's interesting to see the difference between the two. I think a lot of people were concerned before the race started that the prototypes wouldn't have the legs of the GT cars, but they quite clearly do. But it's not the huge difference in speed that we had with the older Porsche.
Exactly, and that's what's making it a lot more exciting.
Roger, thank you very much for your time this evening. Congratulations on this new formula. I know that there might be some fans out there disappointed not to see the open-top cars, but it is a change, it's a new direction, and it seems to be gaining momentum.
It's this program's time, and here they are.
Thank you very much. President of Grand American, Roger Edmondson there. Chris Neville, can you update us on a couple of teams and cars?
Well, the 59 was back in, Scott Goodyear behind the wheel, and he just wanted to bring the car in under this caution so they could take another look at it after Hurley's off. They still see some stuff flopping around in the car. Seems like something in the under tray is still flopping around. They didn't look like they fixed anything, but they're still looking at it. They're just trying to take advantage of these cautions. Also, the 98 car, the car that has been just hampered with right rear blowouts all day. They've had a total of 8 blowouts. That's the Schumacher racing car. Very solid team. It looks like they're looking to possibly withdraw from the race because they are so concerned about these blowouts, they don't want to injure anybody.
That is just devastating news. On paper, they were one of the strongest teams in GT to take the fight right up there to Kevin Buckler's group, and you go right through that GT board with, you know, Sasha Masson and Lucas Luhr in that Schumacher champion Porsche car. They certainly were supposed to be one of the strongest teams in that category. So it's been a tough day for some of the GT competitors, most notably the 67 car, and also for SRP2, the Archangel car. Look at this, major impact on the restart. It is crunch time. Thankfully, both drivers, Andrew Davis and Larry Alberto, are okay. The car's not in the same situation. And that was last year's Le Mans winning GT Porsche, and they are out of action.
Now, I tell you what, we're going around here, we're getting ready to go green again. The leader of the race, 58 cars leading the field. What are you thinking about? You're thinking about all that debris that was in turn 1, and did they leave a rivet that I'm going to run over and it causes the tire to go down? But you can't come in and change just before we go green because you'll lose track position.
Back under green. That fourth caution period is over. Let's get back to racing and let's keep it clean. Let's hope we can all get through turn 1 and 2 cleanly.
Right, down into the corner, nice and clean, just like before. Remember, everybody's got coat. The tires are cool. There's not a lot of grip. Got to be careful. A wreck like that's sort of a wake-up call for everybody.
Well, thankfully, they do get through cleanly. Continue on into the darkness. And it is the Donahue Brumos Porsche that leads the way. It is the 66 Racers Group Porsche that sits in second. It's the Redworks Porsche that sits in third. So 2 GT cars in the top 3. It's the second Brumos Porsche in fourth. Then we go back to the first of the Ferrari 360s with Johnny Mollem on board, sitting in fifth, the GT category. Then it is the third Daytona prototype, the Segwa Sport Toyota. That's sitting in sixth outright. Then we go back to the first of the GTS cars. It's the Andy Wallace Mosler for Perspective Racing. They have done a very solid job and continue on, but it's very early days. We're approaching, what, 25% through the race, quarter way through.
And look at the 20, well, they're not on camera with that car right now, but as they come out on the speedway, the 24 car, the GTS car, is right behind the leader. And he was.
Talk about the change in conditions, Jack, too. We're going into nighttime. The temperature drops considerably. I imagine this gets better. The cars perform.
Yeah, it gets better now. The engines run better. It's easier on the driver, and the tires get a lot more grip. This car right here runs, that car has been running well all day. This is Lee's personal pick for the run. He thinks this car is going to, at the end of the day, be there. The leader lets the 88 car go by. Smart move. Don't need to mess with him. They're way out in front of him. Just let him go. Right now, the 58 car has got it their way.
On board with the Orbit Racing Porsche, the 43 car. This is the Leo Hendry, Kyle Petty entry. They've got a young hot shoe German in there, Mark Lieb as well, and Peter Barron. That's the driver lineup. And they had some misfortune early on. Early days, long time to go, long way to go. They can charge their way back. Perhaps not all the way up to where the top place GT cars are at the moment. that...
At this point, at this stage of the game, all you do is drive.
Yes.
All you do is drive, and you drive as hard as you can. Don't tear the car up. And that's what he's doing. You can see this driver's in a hurry. He's driving.
I mentioned to you earlier, folks, that you can send us emails right here in the Speed booth. Log on to speedtv.com and follow the directions to the email section. Send them into the booth here. We've got another one here, Jack, and I'll direct this to you. This is from Howard from Fanwood, New Jersey. Right before the back-to-back cautions, you were talking about the teams that weren't racing today. What happened to them? Like Corvette racing.
Well, that's a good question. The Corvette factory team, I think that they're looking at this situation, and I think you might see them in the future come and race with Grand Am. I know that the George Robinson, who I drove for 5 years, is hopefully home watching this and looking at these prototypes. And I can tell you right now, George, we miss having you down here, and this is a class we can win in. Got to think about it. I hope you come back.
Good comparison of speed there. The Orbit Porsche versus the Ferry Competizione Ferrari as they grind down the back, heading towards the chicane. The Orbit Racing is on a good roll right now. The Orbit Racing Porsche.
Yeah, at this stage of the game, I mean, that's what they need to do. Is just get out there and run. Forget about where they are. The fact that they're running as well as they're running right now, just put their head down and go. They got a long time ahead of them.
But positive signs. They have worked their way up into 17. We've got a word from the ground that the race leader has pulled to the side of the track over on the back.
Wow, check this out. He is parked.
And that has been confirmed because the 66 Racers Group Porsche has moved through into the lead position right now. This is devastating for Brumos. Tough stuff here.
So the big question is, what happened?
Wow. We will try and locate where that is. Not quite 6 hours into this race, and the lead Brumos Porsche, the lead car in the Rolex 24, has come to a stop out on the track.
There. I think he's right there.
Exit of NASCAR 2?
Yep, I think that's him right there. I think. I'm not positive.
I think you're seeing things, Jack.
No, I'm seeing things. It's the other way, okay.
Some reports that it's down beyond the chicane, down towards NASCAR 3 and 4. But this...
Let me get the camera turned around and see if we can... I'll tell you what, if we can go, they'd be on the radio with him. We go to Jim Bailey over there.
Yeah.
Find out what happened at the Brumos 59 pit.
Well, they're taking...
Or the 58, or Alex Jobe, actually.
Well, we do have a replay of the onboard. Let's watch, see if we can pick up where he has come to a stop.
He drove it over by the guardrail so that the crew could get to him easier. So whatever's broken, he's back in. He's on the road heading back through the infield right now. I've used that road before. It's not a good thing, but it's the quickest way for the crew to get to you.
We now have a GT car leading the Rolex 24. It is Kevin Buckler in the 66 Racers Group Porsche. All the problems for Brumos has been with the Hurley Haywood car, the 59 machine. Now, trouble has struck the 58 Red Bull car. This is your race-leading car. Kevin Buckler from Sonoma, California, now leads the Rolex 24. Chris Neville.
I'm here in the Brumos pits with Alex Jobe. Alex, any word from the car?
Yeah, we're looking at the telemetry, and one bank of the engine went off, and it's being pulled in right now, so we don't know for sure yet till we get it in, but it seems like something happened to the engine.
Well, if that's for sure, it doesn't look like they're going to be back out on the track anytime soon.
Well, let's take a look at the replay again on board. Let's have a listen.
finish right there. And you saw the thing going up right here. He just lost all of his RPMs. When that little line right there died, that's RPM. The engine died.
New race leader. The Racers Group now lead the Rolex 24. They must be excited. Brian Till?
Well, Gary Beal, one man's problem is beneficial for you guys, and that's what makes endurance racing. You guys have to be excited.
Well, yeah, but it's still too early to start getting too excited about anything. You know, I just checked my watch, and we're only a quarter away into this thing, so it's nice. It would, the opportunity this year for a GT car to win overall would be great, but it's still pretty early. But if we keep running strong, you never know what can happen.
You know, everybody has talked about that. Our experts, and I'll say Jack Baldwin is one of our experts, as well as David Hobbs. They've said that a GT car can win this overall, and it looks like with a little help from your friends, you guys may well be there.
Well, I hope so. You know, we came here and tested, really worked on being consistent and being conservative with the setup and working on long runs in the car, full fuel loads on tires, and not just all-out speed. And I think the speed has come to us, and the reliability. We really haven't had any tire issues or anything like that. And with some of the other cars out here, I think that's a big advantage for us, is our tire management and just getting the car consistent in the long runs.
Well, Gary's going to go look for some wood to knock on, since he said they haven't had any problems, so he's going to knock on some wood, and hopefully they'll be there at the end.
And how luck in motorsport swings one way then the next. The 67 car just got crunched with Andrew Davis behind the wheel. The sister car has just taken the lead of this great race. Hope you can stick with us. We've still got 2¼ hours live on Speed from Daytona. Stick around.
Porsche and sports car racing. Sometimes those terms seem almost synonymous. And the reason for Porsche's connection and success is because of their willingness to not only support, but reward their competitors. As a matter of fact, at the end of each season, they reward their top competitor with the very prestigious Global Porsche Cup. Only a few Americans have ever been able to lay claim to that award, and of them, no story is more compelling than that of Kevin Buckler and the Racers Group.
You know, as far as how we've done this is from the owner-driver perspective, it really does make it sweet for me. And in a big way, I'm probably most proud of that, because the driving is super hard, but I think running the team's even harder. Doing them both sometimes a little difficult. I couldn't do it without these guys. That's the main thing. I got a great group of guys here. Now, you know, when we started the whole company, my wife and I started the Racers Group out of our garage in Monterey. You know, I've been a Porsche fan and a freak since I've been a little kid, cruising around trying to steal my buddy's father's car, and when I was growing up, you know, get some laps in a Porsche around the neighborhood. We never would have dreamed this is what it would have come to.
Runs a very successful operation out of Sonoma, California, and he would be loving every moment of this. It's early days, but if anyone knows about 24-hour races, it is Kevin Buckler, so successful last year in the GT category. He and Michael Schramm, and then he's got those two young German hotshots with him. Look at how much attention there is down in the Brumos pit. Chris Neville, it must be intriguing down there.
Everybody's got their head in the car here, but it does look terminal. David, you guys had an impressive test prior to the weekend. You've been running up front all day. This is going to be extremely disappointing.
Yeah, it is. The Brumos guys, and with the help of some of the Alex Job crew, put a lot of effort into the new Fab car, Porsche, and we've been running pretty well. And like I said earlier, it's a long race. The first couple hours really mean nothing, and this just goes to prove it. It doesn't really matter how well you run the beginning. You got to be there at the end, and unfortunately, we're not going to be there at the end.
Now, what happened there? Did it just die on you?
Yeah, I think the motor let go after the yellow flag. Actually, before the yellow flag, I thought I heard something, some engine tone change, and something in the power changed a little bit. I couldn't really put my finger on it because it was in such a limited RPM band, and then we had the two yellows, and at the second yellow, it just, especially in top gear, it wouldn't go between 7.8 and 8,200. It was really struggling to get through there. Then it finally just let go going into the chicane. No, it's too bad. You know, we just signed Red Bull just before this race, so it's a shame to let them down, but we'll be back for the next one at Homestead.
David, you ran a 32-hour test prior to this, and you had no problems like this.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what to say. You know, it's discouraging, but we still have the 59 car out there, and You know, this is the Brumos 30th anniversary of their first win here, and that would just be incredible to see Hurley win again on the 30th anniversary in Brumos colors. So I think all our attention now goes on to that team, and I'll be here in the morning to see them cross the checkered line.
David, we know that the Rolex has kind of eluded you for quite a few years. Your dad has won here. This is just got to be really tough in that sense.
Well, yeah, I've put a lot of effort into this, as the team has put a lot more effort into it than even I have, and I feel a lot of personal attachment. I really wanted to give back to Bob Snodgrass, who's put so much effort into this program and to get it on the ground and running. And you know, this stuff happens. It's racing. So, like I said, we'll be back. We're still determined. Brumos has a real professional image, and we'll keep charging along. It's a long championship. It's just one race. Maybe the crown jewel, but still just one race.
Quite a few somber faces down here in the Brumos area, but they're still watching the 59 car.
Well, David's won 24-hour races. He's lost 24-hour races. He knows that that's the rules of the game. As we look at Don Kitch and the Team Seattle Essex Racing prototype, this is something that happened to Don a little earlier. Pretty scary stuff. Watch further up the road. The Dark Dog Saline spins right in front. Oh, just squeezes through.
And he just did squeeze through, because that car could have easily come back and taken him right out.
We've got a GT car and a prototype going at it hard at the top of this field. More after this short break. That's what they're all trying to do, just trying to get through this. And another close call for the 59 Brumos Porsche as the 19 car goes flying through. And another close call. So the Brumos Porsche continues on second overall. And this car charges on. You heard David Donahue mention, and wouldn't it be great for Hurley Haywood to bring up win number 6 on the 30th anniversary of Brumos's win back in '73. There's a change, there's a driver change about to happen. The leading Ferrari, the 360 GT for Risi Competizione, Ralph Kellner is about to get behind the wheel. Brian Till.
Well, Ralph, so far so good. Only one prototype between you and the leader, and it too is a GT car, and you got 19 or so hours to catch him. Is that a doable deal?
Well, from the beginning we thought that only our competition is going to be the GT class. And actually we are about a second slower per lap, and the leading car, the number 66, is our strongest competitor. And if they don't have any problems, then we can't catch them, because unfortunately we're about a second slower. The prototype cars, to be honest, we never really expected them to finish the race. Up to now, the Brumos car is running very well. And but when we came, we actually thought we have to try to do our best in our GT class. But maybe also we can get on the podium overall. And it seems like the GTS cars, I don't know if there's any left, but the GTS cars at the moment are not running very strongly.
The nighttime going to be a help to you guys, give you a little more horsepower, and maybe that starts to hunt down the Porsche?
It's going to be the same help for everybody. If we had a turbo engine, then it would give us more of an advantage. But the advantage is going to be the same for everybody.
So keep your fingers crossed that yours stays together and something happens to theirs.
Well, yeah, we have to keep our fingers crossed that we're going to have a race without any problems, and that they maybe have, I don't know, maybe a little bit of a small problem.
Well, no problem down here. I guarantee you, this guy and Anthony Lazzaro, they're going to keep pushing the pedals, make sure that they're at least there in the end, guys.
Johnny Molam on screen pushing the Calpont Ferrari as hard as he possibly can. Only 3 drivers in this car for Risi Competizione. Molam has been a podium place getter at Le Mans in the GT category, at Sebring, also at the Petit Le Mans. So he is quite an accomplished guy. He has done very well in this class. Yet to bring up his first big win. Perhaps it could be here with Anthony Lazzaro and Ralph Kellner. Nice to hear from Ralph there as we ride with one of the Sports Racing Prototype 2s. This is one of the Team Seattle Essex Racing cars, the 15 machine. Let's take a ride on board with Peter McLeod.
and one of the nice things about an open car is see the view. That's the view you get from the driver's seat. It's just nice and open, and it's like going on a great ride in a real fancy convertible.
When you get into a rhythm, when you're in the middle of your stint, if it's clear like this, if there's no one around, do you ever kind of do you break your concentration and look around?
Well, you don't break your no, you don't really, but you do look around. And you notice things. I mean, things you get in the zone and you're just running along, and it's not like you're in a tunnel. I mean, you notice things along the side of the track. You see things. Things get slow. Everything's slowed down. It's not, when you're just in your zone, you're just running along. You're one with the machine, as they say.
As you've just joined us here on Speed, Lee Diffie with Jack Baldwin. It's great to have you here, Jack. We've got Brian Till and Chris Neville down in the pits. We'll only be with you for another couple of minutes because Bob Barsha, David Hobbs are about to step back into the speed booth. Calvin Fish and Guy Hobbs will take over the duties down in pit lane. Speed Channel, we will be with you live for another 2 hours here at Rolex 24 and then back again early, very early tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Eastern, right through until 1:30 p.m. Eastern, right through until the very end of the 2003 Rolex 24 at Daytona. The number crunching is going on fiercely down in pit lane. The strategy is flowing and the foot is still well to the floor. 170 laps down.
Welcome back to the Rolex 24 hours, where there have been a lot of problems for a lot of teams, a lot of tire problems, but tires have not been the only problem that have been made out of rubber for a lot of these competitors. Here at the number 77 pit, another car that has succumbed to a rock thrown up in the engine compartment. It gets between the pulleys and the belt for the water pump. The belt breaks. We've got overheating. This is about the fourth car that's happened to. Debris, it can be a major issue for these guys, and when it gets into the engine compartment, it eats alternators, it eats water pump belts, and it creates serious engine problems.
How costly has that one incident been, Jack Baldwin, whereby we saw the Yukos RWS Porsche go off? This car went off. Hurley Haywood took evasive action. It's cost this team, it's cost that team, just one simple incident.
One simple incident, and a while ago we were watching when one of the cars went across the curbing, okay, missed the apex, went across the curbing. And you see that chunk of asphalt that they picked up? That's the kind of thing that happens. When you drive off the road, you bring all the debris on the road, and then when you run over it, you throw it up all over the place, and it gets in it gets where it's not supposed to go. And that's the problem. You know, a guy told me a long time ago, there's green stuff and black stuff. You got to stay on the black stuff.
One of the Roll Center Moslers has turned around. That's the fourth car in GTS. We hear a report that it's been turned around. David Shep is driving that one. This is the car, well, both Roll Center Moslers owned by Martin Short. This is the biggest effort he has had in sports car racing, running two cars here. The 09 car is off.
At the same place, at the dogleg. Now, right now, the sun is really, really low in the sky at the dogleg. And I would imagine that right there, at this point of the day, right now, it's got a blind spot.
Paul Mears Jr. brings it back onto the black stuff.
You miss your apex in there, it's real easy to get off. And just by the fact that everybody's gone off, it's a little slip down there.
We hear that perhaps David Donahue could have been involved in that incident as the 09 gets back up to speed and the Dark Dog Saline S7R flashes on by. I can update you on the situation inside the top 10. It was widely anticipated for Hurley. He would dearly love to make it 6. He's going to compete the full season in the Rolex Sports Car Series this year for Grand American. And he is excited about that. The 09 car is in. Paul Mears Jr. has brought the 09 one in. Jim Briotti in. You know Jim very well.
Oh, yes. I know him very well. And this team does a great job. They've done well in endurance races in the past. It's a good, solid team. These guys can be effective in their class.
Thanks for joining us on Speed, folks. You're watching live pictures from Daytona Beach as the 09 team hard at work.
More damage of going off over the dog leg. They're trying to get this straightened out. And then the other problem is what got in there. What's in there between there and the radiator. So they need to deal with that.
Chris Neville, how do things look down there?
Well, I think you guys can get a pretty good idea of the damage on the front of that nose. Looks like quite a bit of the splitters broken off on the right side. Paul Mears was in the car, and it sounded like he possibly got into the side of a prototype, and maybe that was David Donahue. Don't quite know. These guys aren't quite sure. They just said Paul just tried to stay out of too much trouble driving off the road.
Anticipated that the GT cars would be extremely strong here this year. At the moment, we're getting close to the 5-hour mark in the Rolex 24. 6 of the top 10 positions are occupied by GT category cars. The Daytona prototype car leads the way. That is the Red Bull. Brumos, David Donahue at the wheel as he works his way through the field, coming up on one of the SRP2 cars.
You know, and right now with a comfortable lead at this point, leading the race, this is a good spot to be in going into the evening. It's up to everyone else to catch him, and this is a good place. You can back off a little bit. You can get a more comfortable pace going. It's up to everybody else to speed up to catch you, and it's a great position to be in. It makes the crew a little nervous because you think everybody's wondering what's going to happen to me.
From one Brumos to another, we ride with Hurley Haywood, a legend when you talk about sports car racing, particularly here at Daytona. A record 5.
Pick up the front of that car a little bit, so it doesn't look like they're going to have very good downforce on the front, and that might hurt him in the dog leg. Jim Briotti got back in that car, and he's going to take it out for the next stint.
The 15 car has stopped on course, and that's tough. That's one of the Team Seattle Essex racing cars that's back going again now. This is Peter McLeod behind the wheel. Third in this category, the only open-top cars in this race.
And there he is coming back up on the speedway. It seems like the car's okay.
Sure, sounds all right, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sounds fine. He probably spun out.
And you can see now the lights starting to take some effect here on this 3.5-mile circuit.
Right now, the sun is down below the speedway, and I'll tell you, it's a lot easier right now. It's the lights, you know, you're in that dull zone. You can't see really good, especially if your windshield's dirty, but it's better than having the sun in your eyes.
Donahue continues to lead the way. The first SRP2 car is the 21 machine in 13.